Brady, as of tomorrow, my niece will be attending the exclusive, overpriced, and did I mention exclusive? Dunwich Preparatory Academy, back east. This has always been the deal, right, Mackenzie?
Sure. It's just that tomorrow there are these extreme conditions. I've been waiting my entire life to surf.
Surf? Oh, sweetheart. Your new life begins tomorrow. Your endless summer has come to an end.
Or has it just begun?
And then we break out into a musical. Hey, Val.
Hey, Al.
Welcome to D-Commentaries.
Thank you. Welcome to you and welcome to our listeners. Today, we're talking about Teen Beach Movie.
Woo! Teen Beach Movie.
Whee!
Whee!
A meta movie. A very meta movie.
We'll talk more about that. And I'm gonna say it before you even ask, Val, I loved this movie. And I have seen it before. Talking about that too soon again. But I absolutely love this movie.
Amazing. I will save my thoughts because they're a little bit more complex.
Okay.
But I am positive.
Hated this
movie. No, I did not. I did not. Trust me, you would know if I hated this movie.
Yeah,
I am net positive on this movie. I will explain later.
Okay.
In the meantime, Teen Beach Movie came out July 19th, 2013. And this is crazy. Teen Beach Movie is the only DCOM that came out in 2013.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the only other time that one DCOM came out in a whole year is the very first year that DCOM came out, 1997.
Wow.
Yeah. Wild.
That is wild.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know why. Like, was it a money thing? Was it a scheduling thing? Was it we're not sure if we're going to keep doing DCOMs thing? Like, I'd love to know what the reasoning was behind that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. I wonder if it's potentially like this movie cost a lot more money and they were like banking on it being good or something. You know, I don't know.
Maybe. I would also not be shocked given the fact that we've been so angry at a lot of the more recent movies if like they were questioning whether they should keep making these, and then they were sort of like, if this one does well, we'll keep doing it, and then it did. So anyway, I'm thankful if that is the case that it did well. Teen Beach Movie was directed by Jeffrey Hornaday, who also actually directed Geek Charming, which we did not like.
Nope.
He will also direct Teen Beach Movie 2. Spoiler. There's a follow-up. And I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but there was a post-credit scene to this movie.
I was hoping you wouldn't have seen it, and you did. Oh, there is a post-credit scene, which gives us the second movie. We'll talk about it.
We will. But, you know, what's interesting about Jeffrey Hornaday is that he has literally no credits past 2015. Like, I think Teen Beach Movie 2 is his last directing credit, and his last credit period on IMDb. So I don't know if he just retired or what happened.
Is he still alive?
I tried to figure that out. It didn't say that he wasn't. At least not that I saw. So yeah, I don't know. It'll remain a mystery.
Yeah.
There was a 3-person writing team for this movie. All 3 of them also wrote on the second one as well. Vince Marcello, not sure how his family pronounces it. He also wrote Kissing Booth 1 through 3 and An Unforgettable Year. So yeah, he's got some other like similar kind of
YA stuff.
Yeah. Mark Landry, basically these 2 movies are his only credits, essentially. And then Robert Horn, who definitely brought like the Disney of it all. He wrote Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, the Sweet Life movie, and this I don't think is Disney, 13, the musical.
Oh, yeah.
The cast is as follows. Ross Lynch plays Brady. He pretty much everybody in the first like 6 people is also in Teen Beach too, so I won't say that every single time. He's also in Austin, or was in Austin and Allie, which I believe is a Disney show.
It was a Disney Channel show. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then he was more recently on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and he's a musician, so he's in a bunch of music videos as well. Maya Mitchell played Mackenzie, or Mac. She was in Mortified, Trapped, The Fosters. I think that was like her big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then more recently she was on the show, or is on the show, Good Trouble.
Yeah, I think that either just ended or something, but I watched maybe the first season or 2 of it. I don't know.
Cool. Grace Phipps Gillum played Layla. Her only other big credit is a show called Z Nation, which I'm guessing is something to do with zombies. She had the prettiest eyes. I was like mesmerized by her eyes the entire movie.
I think they cast this movie really well.
They definitely did. It's great. I agree. Garrett Clayton, speaking of perfect casting, plays Tanner. And he's pretty much a straight up character actor. Like, other than Teen Beaches, he has just been in like one episode of a million things. He, to me, like, my first note about him was like, who is this Zac Efron knockoff?
That's funny.
Like, he just kind of looks like I mean, and this is the reason he was cast in this role, and they obviously play this up, but he's just like generic hot guy.
Yeah.
It was very funny. John DeLuca played Butchie, who I believe is Layla's brother. He's also just a character actor. He's been in lots of stuff. Chrissy Fitt played Chi-Chi. She's one of the biker girls who has like hair up to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
She was on General Hospital for a while. She was in Pitch Perfect 2 and 3. And she's a voice and character actor as well. Suzanne Cryer played Aunt Antoinette.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt. She's a character actor. She had a recurring role on Silicon Valley and more recently on All Rise.
Yes, I knew I recognized her, and I had to look her up, and it was because of Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Barry Bostwick played Big Papa, Mac's grandpa. He is a very prolific character actor.
Yeah, he was recognizable for sure.
Yeah, but his, like, the thing that kicked off his career was he was in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh.
Uh-huh. And he also had a recurring role on Spin City.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he's pretty famous, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Or is. Kevin Chamberlain played Dr. Fusion. He's the one of the villains that looks like a mole rat. He's also a very prolific character actor. A couple things I got a kick out of. He was on a few episodes of Ghost Rider, which was a show that I loved when I was little. He was in the movie In and Out, which is a movie I love. He was in Lucky Number 11. Called Jesse. Yeah. And he was in The Prom.
The one that just came out?
Mm-hmm.
I hated it.
The Prom.
Yeah, I've seen the musical and I watched the movie, and I don't like either one. So sorry to The Prom.
I've only seen the movie, so I'm gonna hold judgment until I see the show.
Yeah.
Steve Valentine played Les Camembert. The other villain. You might recognize him from Avalon High, or perhaps Don't Look Under the Bed.
Oh, thank you. I was wondering why he was recognizable, and it's because of Avalon High. Yeah,
he's the villain guy and everything. He's a character actor and a voice actor. He's in tons of stuff. He was in the Wizards of Waverly Place movie. He was on Crossing Jordan and I'm in the Band, among many, many other things. And finally, Jordan Fisher played Seacat. He is a pretty big voice actor. But he was also in an episode of High School Musical, the series. He was a voice actor in Turning Red. He played one of the Four Town singers, but he's probably the most recognizable for being on The Flash, which is a DC television show.
And he is a very, very notable Broadway actor.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Which is, thank you for bringing that up, because there was a lot of people who I didn't even include on this list who were like exclusively like dancers or like whatever, because they don't have like an IMDb resume, but like they are Broadway people, or they are like people who are constantly in stuff being dancers, like music videos and all kinds of stuff.
For any Disney Parks fans out there, Jordan Fisher is also the singer in the fireworks show in Magic Kingdom right now, Happily Ever After.
Whoa.
Wow, Val didn't even know that.
No, I did not.
Yeah, I recently saw a TikTok about him that he auditioned for like 50 different Disney Channel shows. And he never got cast as a lead, and he auditioned every time. He's like, I made it into like the final 3 for several like stars of the shows, and he never made it in. And so this was kind of his like into Disney. But he also was in the To All the Boys I Loved Before series.
Oh, okay. Cool.
He's John Ambrose. He's very good. And then he's in the cast recording of the 2023 of Sweeney Todd. And he is currently on Hadestown, although I think he's leaving soon on Broadway.
Wow.
Like I am very much a Jordan Fisher stan.
Wow. Very cool.
Very, very.
Thank you for those fun facts. Speaking of fun facts, I already mentioned that this was the only movie of 2013. The other, I guess it's not a fun fact, but an interesting fact, is Annette Funicello passed away prior to this movie coming out. And aside from being probably the most famous Mouseketeer, she was also in a lot of these like teen beach movies, like when she was a teenager. And so I guess it wasn't in the streaming version, at least not that I saw, but apparently ahead of the movie on TV when it aired, there was a dedication that read, "In memory of Disney legend Annette Funicello, the world's most beloved beach movie star."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. It was really sweet.
Oh.
Amazing. All right, that is the business.
Woo!
Hey, Al.
Hey, Val.
I would love to hear what your first impressions of this movie were.
Thank you so much for asking. I didn't think you would ask. Oh my God, Val. I love this movie so much. You all knew this was coming because I already said it. I loved everything about this movie. I think it is quintessential DCOM. I think casting was incredible. I think everyone was so funny. There were so many choices that they made that were so like, I would have never even thought of that. And it was so good. The only thing that threw me off was like, and I know that it's in there for a reason, but like the villain storyline of the like, the randomness of the gonna build a beach resort. I just like, we kind of didn't see those guys for like 30 minutes and then they came back and I was like, oh, I kind of forgot that was part of it. Right. I'm going to rate this a 9.
Whoa.
I am rating Teen Beach Movie a 9. I love it so much. I think the music is catchy. I really, really like this movie. Big fan.
Amazing. I'm so glad.
Val, first impressions.
Thanks, Al. I really enjoyed this movie as well. I think that when I first started it, I was a little bit skeptical because there was a lot of like over dramatic fighting happening between the main couple. And then I kind of realized how meta this movie is. Like every single choice in this movie is a commentary on every other DCOM. Yeah. Like, so I'm going to jump the gun on a line because it's such a perfect like illustration of this. At one point, someone says, "Remember that movie with that robot who drank liquid from an abandoned spaceship, turned into a vampire middle school teacher who taught the entire school to salsa dance and then went on to win the regional championships?" And then so it goes, "Yeah." And then she says, "That makes more sense than this." But that description of a movie is literally mocking every single DCOM. Like every single thing that happens from the moment that this movie starts is making fun of DCOMs.
Yeah.
And then within that, they're then kind of making fun of these teen beach movies. But like, first and foremost, it is the most self-aware DCOM that we have ever watched. And if you keep that in mind, all of the overdramatic stuff, all of the silly choices, everything that happens is like so much more fun and like almost genius. You know, you're like, oh my God.
Everything is purposeful. It's amazing.
Yeah. So if you watch it through that lens, it's amazing. Like it's magnificent to watch because it's basically like making fun of itself, but in a way that works.
Yes.
Right? Like a lot of these movies, they try to like wink at the camera while they're doing something stupid. And I think that just undermines the stupid thing and doesn't work. Right. But this, they are taking it incredibly seriously, but they're just also taking it seriously, making fun of themselves, which is so perfect. So yeah, once I kind of clicked like into that and like understood what was going on, I was like, oh my God, I love this so much. And I also liked that they sort of like turned cliches on their heads, or like the choice, like for example, like Brady, who's the boy, obviously, like is the one who's obsessed with this musical. He's the one who's more bought in to start with. And Mac, who like is obviously the girl, is much more skeptical and kind of like takes a little bit longer to kind of get into this whole thing. And like, if you were making a more cliche version of this, it would be the opposite, right?
Yeah.
And there's just stuff like that throughout the whole movie where I'm just like, I love that choice because it's just not the most obvious choice.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really fun. Yeah, that's my first impression. I wasn't as into the music as I think you were. There were a couple songs that I really liked. There were a lot of songs where I was like, I already forgot what that song sounded like 2 seconds after it ended. But it was fun to watch. You know, like they had a lot of fun with like the staging and the way that they use the cameras and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So they were just having fun making this movie. And I always enjoy a movie where it's clear that they were having fun making the movie.
Good. Yes, you could absolutely tell. I thought that everyone had really great chemistry with one another.
Yes.
I just thought it was so fun. And like, to your point of it making fun of DCOMs, it also made fun of musicals. Like it starts out with like a Grease and then it makes fun of, you know, the West Side Story of it all. And it makes fun of Back to the Future, you know, like it's just so fun. Oh, it's very so fun. I have not seen the second one, so I don't know that it'll hold high to our previous incredible sequel, High School Musical 2, but I am excited to see it.
For sure. Al, any favorite quotes and moments?
Yeah, I definitely do. I got a lot. Maybe we're dead. We've died and ended up in a musical. Love that. I have, hey, Giggles, those hips are so seismic. It ain't moving. That's the problem, see, Cat. It's getting them to stop. It's so funny. The two like main leads are very like ditzy and they're just very like to the point and they don't get like innuendo.
They're literal. It gave me Barbie movie vibes a lot. Yeah.
I loved it. Yeah. So this line is you guys are strange. I like that. And then going with her again, it's you know what I've never done? Eaten a rock, kissed a squirrel. All exciting things, but no. Eaten a rock, kissed a squirrel. So funny. Those are my favorite quotes. I have a couple of favorite moments in the song Cruisin' for a Bruisin' when he hits the jukebox and everyone stops dancing, but they're breathing really hard. And then he hits it again and they all start back up. I loved that choreography choice. I really like when Tanner does his high voice. He like Tanner, the like lead movie guy. Yeah. I don't mention it too much in the synopsis, so I'm going to mention it now. But he does this thing where he's like, oh, yeah, I talk in my low voice because girls like the low voice. But I also have a high voice. And it's so funny. And then he'll like do it sometimes. I was noticing Ross Lynch's hair throughout where you could tell when his dark hair started like growing out. He had really dark roots at some points.
Yeah.
I also noticed that Ross Lynch has an Audi belly button. Interesting.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
in the end, when the scientist guy is like fixing something and he just has this large wrench that doesn't touch anything and makes like a sound when he pulled it, I was like, okay, that's my favorite times. Val, favorite quotes and moments.
Thanks, Al. I just came to watch you surf, not to propose. I thought that was a very non-toxic thing of Brady to say. Follow my lead. Is it leading us home? It's funny. You only quoted like the two people in the movie, and I think I like exclusively quoted Mac and Brady.
That's funny.
Mac goes at one point, the mannequin with 6 rows of teeth just asked me out.
Yes, that was so good.
At one point she says, I can explain it to you, Brady, but I can't make you understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was just like, wow, that's a really cool thing to say, actually. Yeah. Oh, there was a song lyric at one point that said, can't you see it's gone too far? Someone paused the DVR. Mm-hmm. I was like, uh-oh, something's dated. And then another song lyric, it's just a song, an inefficient way to move the plot along.
It's just a song, an inefficient way to move the story along. I'm done. That's the TikTok trend.
It's so funny. And then at one point, someone, I think it was the scientist, he goes, yeah, it was the scientist. He goes, I'm nothing but a flicker on a silver screen.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was just like, that is incredible. Yeah. Like, I love that line so much. And then one of my favorite things is that Tanner is a complete idiot, mm-hmm. but also quotes Shakespeare mm-hmm. like randomly. Which is just, I just thought that was a really funny
yes, because that's where the low voice comes in. She goes, did Shakespeare say that? He goes, no, I did in my low voice. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, but I can do it in my high voice. It's so funny. It's so good.
It's so good. And then I love the relationship between Layla and Mac. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think that they have such a beautiful, earnest friendship. Mm-hmm. And Mac, you know, there's no proof of this, but Mac strikes me as the type of girl that doesn't have many or any girlfriends. Like, she's kind of like, you know, a little bit prickly and like tomboyish, and like she just kind of probably spends all her time with Brady and like doesn't really seem to have a lot of girl influence in her life, mm-hmm. which is totally fine, obviously. But I think that what's beautiful is like in Layla's earnestness and kindness, she sort of like breaks through this like hard shell that mm-hmm. Mac has. And it's just a really lovely, lovely thing to watch. Yeah. And like, I really, really like Layla's character a lot. Mm-hmm. Like, she's just so sweet. And I really like the way that the actress, Grace, how she chose to play her. Yeah. I think she did a really good job.
I even really like the relationship between Brady and Mac. And I know that, like, you know, it gets a little like, you're like, okay, which I'll talk about because I think I call it out. But I really like how it's like they are a couple. They are a couple in the beginning of the movie. We don't see too many like rom-com Disney Channel original movies.
Yes.
And so I think that's why I really liked this too, because mm-hmm. we really like haven't seen the actual like kind of love story throughout. And I thought that it was really, really mm-hmm. cute. And they like each other. It's not the like, will they, won't they, which, you know, I guess it kind of is, but you know, they will. So
no, for sure. I literally wrote like one of my first 3 notes. It's my third note. It says, I kind of like that there's already a well-established relationship at the start rather than shipping 2 people the entire movie. Yeah. And I think that what's cool about that too is like their relationship is more like, you can tell how much like Brady respects mm-hmm. Mac, right? Like they are equals, they are friends, mm-hmm. they are everything, right? And like, obviously if 2 people have just met or are like trying to like build a relationship, they don't have that depth to their relationship. Right. And so, yeah, it's really cool to see 2 people who are just already there, like operating that way the entire movie. I thought that was really, really cool. And even though there's obviously sort of this like jokey, like love rectangle that happens, like there is never actually any risk to their relationship whatsoever, mm-hmm.
which
is really cool. Like they're just sort of so secure in themselves and in their relationship with each other that like, there's never a question at all. Mm-hmm. which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I love that.
Elle, I've stripped my bikini top off.
Val!
I'm ready to
I'm nude
to surf into Spoiler City.
Nude surfing right into Spoiler City, which we did not mention is Puerto Rico is where this was filmed.
Cool. I did not clock that.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I Googled it because I was curious. So we are nude surfing right into Puerto Rico. And we open up on a song and there's this couple that is surfing together and it's very Grease opening. And we can tell that she has something she wants to say to him by her actions. And she's like, oh, let me, and he's, I race you to the house. So very much she's trying to tell him something big. So they go into this like seaside shack that is larger than a shack. So home. And we see Mackenzie's grandpa is like watching a Teen Beach movie from years of old. And Brady is like, oh my gosh, this is the best movie ever made. Wet Side Story. I'm already bought in. I'm bought in. You said Wet Side Story. I'm bought in. And we find out that he explains basically Wet Side Story. And we see some characters that are going to come back. It's the Romeo and Juliet of it all. It's literally Romeo and Juliet on a beach with teens. And we find out Mac is leaving tomorrow after her mean aunt shows up and is like, oh yeah, you didn't know, this is where we get our cold open, that she's actually got, she got into the, the Dunwich prep.
Yeah.
And she's going to go back east to go to boarding school. And so then they kind of get in a little riff with one another. They're mad, they're sad. She's like, I feel like I need to do this. We find out her mom passed away and she's like, I need to do this because this is what my mom would want me to do. So I have to like follow in like her footsteps. And like, this is, what we said was going to happen. And she had made a deal with her aunt that like the first 2 years of high school would be with grandpa. And then the second 2 years of high school would be with her aunt. So she never told Brady about this deal. And so he's, of course upset because he's like, I thought we had forever together. And she's like, I didn't know how to tell you because I'm also upset about doing this. So we kind of get that first little inkling of that she's not super happy with this decision. And obviously neither is Brady. So then they get in like a little fight and he's, like, thanks for the most awesome summer. And they like run out of the house. And then at that moment, the surfboard that was like her mom's surfboard, it like lights up and we're like, okay. And so then we go outside and we find out that she was sad about leaving the next day because for the first time in 30 years, the surfing conditions were supposed to hit this thing, which Val, I actually found out on TikTok recently that is like a thing that happens where there's this special surf competition that happens in Hawaii or California or Tahiti. I think it was maybe Tahiti that only happens like when the conditions are absolutely perfect. And it literally could go like 15 years without it happening. So kind of interesting. So I believe movies because science is correct. And so she's like, I don't want to leave tomorrow, because the conditions are right. So she takes that surfboard that lit up and like goes out and like surfs into go do this like huge wave that she wanted to do that. She like, I'll be back. Like go catch the plane without me type of a thing. But like, I can't leave this before I go do this surfing thing that I really want to do.
One other thing about the surfboard is her grandpa says that surfboard is like has shown like him and like maybe his brother or like a bunch of people like their path in life or something like that. Like it has literally like given them some kind of experience that like showed them which way they were supposed to go.
So they all, I can't say it yet. So then she gets into the water and the weather changes immediately. It turns from like bright sunny day to like super stormy day. And she's like stuck out there in the water. She's not really stuck, but they think she's stuck. So Brady goes on a jet ski to like go save her because he's like, she doesn't want her to get hurt, this and that. And she doesn't come in from, the tide, the waves. She like falls. And then Brady's like there to save her. And we see her surfboard get away from her. We see them kind of disappear. And then we get this very SpongeBob-esque style shot of complete calm water and the surfboard popping out of the water. And And so then they pop up in the calm waters and they landed in, quote my notes, they landed in what some might say teen beach musical. Surf crazy. So we get a musical. They like, come in. And Brady's like loving this because he's obsessed with West Side Story. He's like, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. We ended up in the Teen Beach musical. And Mac is like, what the heck is happening? I have a plane to catch. I don't know what's going on. So then we find out the surfers aren't incredibly welcome to Brady and Mac when they show up because they're not super open to outsiders. It's because they're in the movie, so they don't know any outsiders.
Right.
But then the bikers show up. So we have our Jets and our Sharks. We have our Montagues and Capulets. And we have basically come to the surf and turf wars, as Matt calls it. So both the bikers and the surfers want to take over the shack that we know is like Grandpa's shack, called Big Mama's, and it is the restaurant of the town, and they want to make it their like home turf. And it's just really interesting, Val, that no other people come to this shack besides teenage children. But that's movie magic. And we get Cruisin' for a Bruisin' song, and Brady starts singing and dancing with them. So he's in his biker outfit, and he's, cruising for a bruisin'. I actually don't remember if that's how it goes, but I remember liking it. Mm-hmm. So Brady then re-explains the movie of West Side Story to Mac and is like, well, the way that we got here was by a storm, so we have to get home via storm. Don't worry. There's a storm at the end of the movie. So we just have to get to the end of the movie and we'll get back home. She's very nervous at this point. And then the surfers are like, hey, actually, we want you to come to this big party we're having, which they're actually like nice to them, even though they weren't really nice to them, which I thought was like an interesting, like we didn't get enough context there, Switch, especially because Brady danced with the bikers, but I digress. So then Mac is like, I don't want to be here. I want to leave. I want to leave this party. I want to leave Big Mama's. And Brady's like, no, dance with me. Dance with me, please. And she's like, no. And so then they get split up by everyone else dancing. And we have the song Fallin' For Ya. And she leaves because she wants to go home. She's like, I'm going to try to figure out a way home. But then she trips and falls into the surf hottie, Tanner. And then the biker hottie who is singing on the stage, Layla, falls off the stage into Brady's arms. So the song is, I'm falling for you. And they both fall into the respective person's arms. Now, keep in mind, this is also a version of Romeo and Juliet. So now Romeo and Juliet have not met. They have not become a thing.
Because it was supposed to be Layla falling into Tanner's arms.
That's how the movie goes. So now they haven't had that establishment. So what are we thinking, everyone? The plot has changed. So then we have some background context of our movie, which in the very beginning, we did get a little bit of, but we find out that Les Camembert, which is funny because it's literally French for like a type of cheese. It's Le Camembert.
Multiple cheeses.
It's literally just cheese. Is a real estate agent who wants to buy the property that Big Mama's is on and build like a resort on the beach. So this is our villain. This is where I immediately, at this point, Val, is where I immediately cast Teen Beach Movie with our cast of DCOM. I immediately went to shout out to,
okay, who was
it was Caleb. Immediately Caleb, and then the scientist is immediately Jordan. And like, I need to see those two. I need to see those two as real estate and scientists.
Oh, that's good.
So then we find out that he wants to do that. So he hired a scientist to build a weather machine. And because then if the weather is bad for long enough, then no one will come and then it'll be cheap. And then she'll have to sell because she's not making any money because it's raining all the time, like right here. And so Big Mama was like, no, I'm not selling to you. So then Brady and Mac are like, we need to go, like the next part of the movie is where we see the villains. So we need to go to the lighthouse to like see where they are. And so this is where we get all that context. So then we like meet our friends again. So like Layla and Tanner are there. And Layla's like, how do you like know each other? And she's like, oh no, we're not together. And Brady's like, what? Which I thought was a shitty move by her, which I get it because she's leaving. But like, Oh, it made me so sad when she did that. I felt for him.
Yeah.
And I do, to your point of like having those roles reversed, like really liked that he was capable of like showing his emotions. I really liked that.
100%.
So,
he was very enlightened.
yes. Very emotionally intelligent for 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not weird because Ross Lynch is 29 and I'm 31. We're 2 years apart. Everything's fine.
Yeah. He was actually the youngest person of the 4 main characters.
Interesting.
Like, in reality. He was 18 and like the rest of them were like, 20.
Yeah, in 2013 21. I was 20. That makes so much sense. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So she says we're not together. So then Layla's like obsessed with Brady and Tanner is now obsessed with Mac because they like fell into one another's arms. So Brady and Mac are like, how do we get the plot back on track? They need to get Tanner and Layla to meet. So they have to have them have some sort of meet cute. So they're figuring that out. But Layla is like super distracted and they almost kiss. Literally, Layla and Brady literally almost kiss. Like quintessential DCOM. I really hope that this gets multiple bingos because it really checks so many boxes. Okay, so then Mac gets sung a song to her. So Tanner sings a song and he's kind of dumb because he is. He's just very literal.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny. So he sings a song Meant to Be and she's like, okay.
Also, I love this song. This is
good.
my
Yes, it's
song.
a good song. Well, they're all good. So, so then they figure out this plan that they're going to like split up and go like boys with boys, girls with girls. So the girls are going to go to a slumber party and the boys are going to be, at the restaurant. And they have this really funny interaction at this point where they're like, okay, see you tonight. Okay, see you tonight. And Brady and Mac are standing there. And then Tanner runs behind them and is just like, wow. And then Mac runs by and she's going, oh. It's just like the choices in this movie are so funny. It's the making fun of DCOMs. It's gorgeous.
It's so funny.
So while they're standing there, her wetsuit that she had put to like dry on like the just next to her surfboard that she plopped right by the door, it started to disappear, which is very Back to the Future, where it's like, oh no, that's disappearing, which means that like we might disappear if we can't figure this out. So then
the implication is kind of more like they're going to get absorbed into the movie, right? So like anything that's like not meant to be there, so to speak, is like vanishing. And then like I don't want to like get too into what you're going to say later, but they are becoming like more and more a part
the
of
movie itself. Like they're becoming part of the plot.
Yeah.
Because at this moment, a song starts and she goes, stop. And the music immediately cuts. She's like, we're not doing this. We are not part of the movie. Get me out of here. So then, so Mac is now at the slumber party, which is also very a la Grease, where they're like doing their hair and makeup.
Very
and
Grease.
They're like, oh yeah, we like do our hair for boys. And she goes, you like don't actually. You don't have to do that. And they're like, I don't get it. What? And she's like, no, you can actually like make decisions based off of like your interest. And they're like, my interest is boy. And so she's very much trying to get them to be like independent. It's very funny. And then we cut to the boys like at the restaurant and this is wild, Val. This is an absolutely wild moment where we get an Angry Birds reference.
Oh, I know.
Jordan Fisher is like slingshotting to hit the angry bird, like literally trying to hit those angry birds with a slingshot. And Brady's like, Angry Birds, huh? And Jordan's like, what? And he's like, that's just funny. He's like, never mind. Just wild. They do mention pop culture a lot in this movie. I just think it's very interesting.
Yeah. I know. And like, I want to think that that's also a meta choice and I hope that it is, but like I feel like there's movies that really date themselves because they do stuff like that. And so you have to be really careful with references like that. So yeah, I'm going to choose to believe that it was a meta choice.
That's our truth.
Yes. Also, before you get too far ahead, I just forgot something. So in the subtitles, I don't know if you noticed this, but every time the bikers say soifas, they like say it like that, the soifas. And if you look at how they spell it in the thing, it says SOIFAS. F-E-R-S.
Soifus. Yeah, it was very funny that we're like on the teen beach, but we've got the New Jersey,
Bikers.
turnpike here. It was
oh my
so
God,
funny.
it was incredible. Wow. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So now they are dressed as their respective groups that they have gone to. So Mac is now dressed as a biker and Brady is now dressed as a surfer. And they kind of get into this heart-to-heart again, where she's like, I need to get back. And she said, every minute wasted is another minute that I am not doing what my mom wanted. So we finally get that insight of like why she feels like she has to go to boarding school, because she's like, this is what my mom wants for me. So I feel like I need to do that because she's not here anymore. And so he is finally like giving in of like, oh, I understand now. You didn't share this information with me before of why it was so important to you. I will help as hard as I can now. So instead of her just being defensive and him being like, oh, I don't know how to help you, it finally gets to this point. And I wrote, this has to be like hard to do with the person you like, like help them get to like a way. Like I just found that I like, oh, he's just so honorable. So then we have a heart-to-heart with Tanner and Mac, and we like see them kind of have this heart-to-heart of like him being like, yeah, I'm like a person. And she's like, oh yeah, you are a person. But then Mac, then we go see her have another sleepover with Layla, and it's just them two now. And she goes, I don't know, I'm just homesick. And she says, oh my God, is it the decor? Thinking that she was sick of her home because she takes everything so literally. It was so funny. And they're having this heart-to-heart where Layla is starting to listen to Mac more about like, do what you want, like be independent, like make decisions for yourself. And Layla tells Mac her secret, which is that she wants to surf. Oh. So then it's been a while since we saw them. We cut back to our weather machine test. And the plan is that their weather machine is going to cause so much humidity that it will torrential downpour, and then no one will want to be in that area. So then we cut away from our villains again.
Also, one other note about their positive relationship that Mac and Brady have in that moment when Mac is talking to Layla, she's like, Brady can teach you how to surf. He taught me everything I know. Like they're just so naturally like very complimentary to each other and like very positive on each other. And I just think that that's really lovely.
It is nice.
Yeah.
I just, it's so well written. I really like this movie. Okay. So then we see Mac and Brady walking on the beach, and they're trying to like figure out this plan to get them back together, Tanner and Layla, to still meet. And so as they're like still figuring out this plan, she falls from a rock into the water, which was terrible special effects and staging.
Oh, it was so silly. But again, it was meta. It was like,
so she like falls and she's like in the water, but you can tell they're clearly like 50 feet away from the water. But she didn't get wet. So she fell like directly in the water and she didn't get wet, which means they're part of the movie now, because they're like, she didn't get wet in a movie. You don't get wet. Yeah. And then this is where we have the song that Val quoted. That's the TikTok trend where they're like, we actually don't want to be in this musical. And we, don't want to be here. Let's not sing. And this choreography is amazing. I mean, they are outstanding in this.
It's so good.
Because to have the ability to like resist against yourself consistently, I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. We haven't said it yet. Go watch this movie.
Yeah, definitely. It's fun. It's
so fun. Yeah. There's so little things like
100%.
Oh, it's so worth the watch. Okay. So then now it's now even more meta, and they're talking in plot points. So they're like, we need to go here to do this and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh my God, we're being too much of a movie. But then the scientist and the real estate guy were like following them, and Brady gets like shot by a stun gun. And at this point they were going to have, the plot was going to be that like Mac tells Layla, oh, Brady will meet you over here to teach you surf lessons. And then Brady never shows up, but then they get Tanner to go over there to then have them like meet and be like, oh, you surf type of a moment. So then they run into one another and they're like, oh, I actually like to surf. I actually want to do this. And they get their meant to be song that they sing to one another. And they realize, oh no, we have to save Mac and Brady, because where are they? And they are tied to the weather machine in the lighthouse. And then Tanner and Layla, there's a lot of names, and so I'm saying them slow because I'm forgetting who's who. So Tanner and Layla go back to their friends, their respective groups, to be like, hey, we need to work together to save Mac and Brady. And they're like, no, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to work with them. And then, of course, movie, they do. And they convince them, and it's like super cute. And then while they're trapped, so Mac and Brady are trapped against the machine, she like comes to terms with like, this whole time I told Layla, go do what you want, go do what you want. And I haven't even been listening to that myself. I don't want to go to boarding school. I want to stay here with you and surfing and all this stuff. And so they have their like makeup where she's kind of like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I'm sorry. And they have a slow version of the song, Meant to Be. And then the scientist, they're like, oh yeah, you're like in a movie. And he goes, I'm in a movie?
That's when he's like, I'm nothing but a flicker on the silver screen.
We're gonna mark it, looks directly into the camera. And it's so funny. 100%. It's so funny. Because there's one point where he's just staring into the camera and the scene is going on around him. Like, oh, it's so silly. Good.
I was dying laughing.
So the groups have charged into the lighthouse to save Mac and Brady, and then while they are going to save them, the weather machine like turns on. So now it's like cooking up. And I wrote hijinks in the lighthouse. So they're all running after each other, this and that. I didn't really like this part because they were untied from it. And then these people were running around and then they were tied again. And then this was happening. The timeline of the hijinks was not consistent. Yeah. Linear. It was not linear. And I did not like that.
Yeah.
But then Layla's like, I can do it. And she turns off the machine with a bobby pin, and the scientists ended up being tied up. And because she turned it off and it blew up, they like got blown to smithereens, and they ended up like on a raft in the ocean. And he's like, hey man, we're in a movie. And he was like, huh? He's like, we're the villains. And he like rips off his mustache. Very funny. So because of that, the movie's back on track. And Layla's like, yeah, girls can do anything boys can do. That's why I saved the day. It was very cute. And so they're all like, okay, bye-bye, we're leaving. And they leave on the surfboard, the family surfboard.
It was genuinely sad when they were saying goodbye. I was like so sad. Even though I knew there's a sequel, I was like, this is really
because
sad.
They're all so great.
Yeah.
And they popped up, back in the ocean that was before. So, they're gone. It was like super cute. This is where we saw Ross Lynch's outie belly button. And, they're walking out into the ocean. And then the same shot, like surfboard SpongeBob's out, we're back. And she says the quote, if I needed saving, I want it to be you. Oh, so cute.
Yeah, it's very sweet. And then he was like, go do your thing, girl, which I just
he's
loved.
Like, all right, I'll get back on my jet ski. I'll leave you surf the surf. And then he goes, you shred it. And so she shreds, as I wrote, the wave that she wanted to. She comes back in. She sticks up to her aunt and says, hey, I don't want to go. And then aunt is like, yeah, okay, which I don't think would have happened in real life, but I'm glad it happened in this life.
Mm-hmm. But then again, it's like very meta, right? Like she just like immediately is one of them.
And then we have you know what we should do? And then right at the same time, one of them says surf and one of them says sing. And then we get, the end. But then we have a post-credit scene that Val mentioned. And the movie kids, the Tanner and the teens from the film walk out of the water into the real world. And they talk to this guy on the beach. And he's like, yeah, look at my technology. And they scream. And then he shows them a picture of Justin Bieber on his phone. And they're like, oh!
And then they're all just like hovering around it like they're aliens.
It's so funny. I'm so glad I stuck around. They had like bloopers. So the bloopers led into the post-credit scene. So it was very easy to miss because also Disney Plus automatically like, minimizes everything. So you have to like actively go back and watch it. And I'm really glad I did because I don't always watch like the bloopers the whole way through. So I'm really glad I watched that because that was very funny. I was like, wow, how very Marvel of them. So I loved this movie. I could watch it once a month and be happy.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Very, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Thanks.
Top to bottom.
Thanks, Val.
Thanks, Al. Great synopsis.
Thanks. Am I getting better at this after 4 years?
Oh, shut the front door. You're great. All right. Shall we bingo
We
over
shall.
to bingo?
Let's bingo over to bingo.
right.
D commentaries bingo.
You'll love to love it.
You'll love to love it.
I'll start since I feel like I've been making you start a lot
Great.
lately.
Okay.
One hit wonder song. No, because they're all sung by them, and
Yeah,
I don't
and we
think-
have a second movie.
yeah, I just don't think it qualifies.
Breaking the fourth wall or looking into the camera. Yes!
Yes! Oh my god, it was so funny.
It was so good. It was so good.
Holiday themed. No.
No. Clunky metaphor.
So, I mean, there's a lot going on in this movie that could be qualified, but one thing that I noticed right at the end, which I thought was kind of cool, is like she takes her hair down, which I thought like like at the beginning of the movie she's kind of buttoned up, and then at the very end she kind of puts her hair up, but it's in a much more like kind of fun like hairdo. That's sort of not 60s, but like, you know, could be sort of related or like inspired by. So I thought that like this is a very common movie thing, but like I think her hair was kind of like a metaphor for where she was at any point in this movie. As she like loosened up, she like let her hair down more. And,
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
Cute.
Parents who just don't get it.
Does aunt count because she's kind of a parental?
Okay. Sure. Because she's kind of a parental unit. On the other hand, though, grandpa is also a parental unit and he very much gets it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Maybe no.
Okay. Cool non-parent adult.
Well, grandpa, I guess.
Grandpa. And Big Mama.
Big Mama. Someone too famous for a TV movie. I would say grandpa. What's his name? Barry Bostwick.
Yeah.
I would say would qualify.
Competition to resolve central problem. No.
A montage sequence. This movie literally begins with a montage sequence.
Yeah. This whole movie is a montage.
Yeah. There's a million of them.
Mm-hmm. Cliche villains.
Very.
It kind of felt like, I didn't watch this show, but I like know enough of it. And I don't know if you ever watched it, but it felt very, if the villains from Phineas and Ferb were personified.
I have no idea. I've never seen Phineas.
That's for,
I know nothing.
That's for those millennial Gen Z cuspers.
I thought you were going to say Pinky and the Brain.
I guess that too. Yeah. That's for the millennial Gen X cuspers.
Yeah. For real. Clothes or items you owned.
I have like 100 Hawaiian shirts.
So I definitely had like board shorts. I didn't have like the exact board shorts that she is wearing.
I did used to have like a high-waisted, like 50s style swimsuit.
I still do have a high-waisted swimsuit.
I think it sounds like we own a lot of the items that could have been in this movie.
Great. Sounds good.
Rotten Tomatoes 40 to 60.
Oh boy. I'm going to guess that this is on the higher end. I'm going to go with 82.
So close, Val. But it's such a good movie. It is an 88.
Whoa! That's awesome. I was so close to being within 5 too.
You were so close.
Oh man.
So we don't get the square, but it is such a good movie that I don't care.
That's right. Happily Ever After. I mean, yeah.
They are.
Although I will say this one thing about this movie that was perplexing to me. Because all of them were over 18.
Mm-hmm.
There's no kissing in this movie.
Correct.
And there are a few moments like when they're in the real world, especially at the very end, where it feels appropriate for them to kiss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird to me that they don't. Like it kind of stands out that they don't.
So this is something that I saw in my research today, Val, which I'm going to spoil something for Teen Beach Movie 2, even though neither of us know the plot or anything about it. But a kiss was not written between them in the second movie either. And they felt it in the scene and they did it on their own.
Really?
I do not know, obviously, if this is included in the movie or not, but like this is why I looked this up, because they have such good chemistry that I wondered if they dated. And it was like there was some sort of like love triangle where it would have been with Maya Mitchell or like a dancer, but like it seemed that like he was more interested in the dancer or something, whatever. So he was like, the kiss wasn't written in there, but we thought these characters like needed it in that moment. And so we did. So I'm really interested to see that in the second movie. So
yeah, for
interesting
sure. And
point.
I wonder if like they were not like in this one, maybe they weren't directed to and they like didn't feel confident yet. Like,
yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't like know their characters well enough. I mean, they could, for all we know, they could have filmed that scene first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they don't film movies in order. So maybe they just were like, I don't know. But yeah, it felt very like weird to me that they didn't kiss at the end.
Which leads us to almost kissing.
Of which there is a lot.
There's a lot.
A lot.
And there was one that was so good.
Textbook,
it was so beautifully directed.
Yes.
Loved that.
Yeah. Someone who became, real quick. Also, there's a lot of really cute forehead touching.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I loved.
How to like be like age appropriate, intimate with someone in a movie.
Yes.
And I thought it was so cute.
Yeah. And honestly, I think forehead touching in some ways is more intimate than kissing. So I thought that was really cute.
Your eyes are so close.
Someone who became famous.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jordan Fisher and Maya Mitchell and Ross Lynch.
Yeah. I feel like they all became sufficiently famous after this. Yeah.
Betraying of one's real friends or values.
Yes. Mac
very much does.
Is very much betraying her own values at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
Narrator. No
narrator.
No narrator.
That's why this is a 9. Obviously bad special effects or stunts. There's a couple beach scenes that are like, oh, we're in front of a green screen. When they're surfing together on the board, there's not even real water that splashes up.
And a lot of that is by design, but either way, it's bad.
Yeah.
Disney Channel star. Yes.
Yes. Multiple.
Mm-hmm.
Musical number!
Yeah! Yes, if it wasn't obvious, yes, there's a lot of musical numbers. Magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Movie magic, Val.
There's a lot of magic in this movie.
There is.
And that's cool because we don't often get both.
And that's cool.
And I guess technically speaking, there's also science magic in this movie, but it's like
true
silly science magic.
Yeah.
But hey, I'll take it.
Nevertheless. Someone says the title of the movie.
Actually, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Scooby Dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those kids
Very
save
much.
it.
Yeah, like banging on the machine with their wrenches. It's so funny. I love when that one girl who's like kind of disengaged is just like banging with her
her
heel.
high heel.
Like her pink.
So
yeah, she's just
funny.
like,
That was so funny. The heroes create the problem.
Yeah. Because if she hadn't gone surfing in the bad weather because she was feeling sad and desperate.
So true, Val.
Gone.
Wow.
Yeah. Lead is a fish out of water.
Yes. They're very much fitting.
Yeah.
All right, Val. Well, we didn't get multiple, but we did get one. We got a lot of boxes. They just didn't hit in the right
line
spots.
up. Yeah.
So we have our G line. So clunky metaphor, montage sequence, almost kissing, Disney Channel star, and the heroes create the problem.
Nice. It's a good one.
Yes, we needed maybe a narrator or a one-hit wonder song. We would have maybe gotten a couple more. Someone said the title of the movie. But I will take one over none.
That's right.
Which leads us to our game of the day. Now, I feel bad, Val, that last episode's trivia was really hard. We do have trivia again.
Oh.
But I'm hoping I made it easy enough for you.
It's okay to be hard. It's fine. I was always like the like dumbest kid in honors classes. So like I'm very used to hard things that I don't get right.
Cool. Yeah, I think I was like the medium dumb kid in all of the regular classes. It's because I'm smart in creative ways, not in school ways. Okay, with that being said, this is the game of musical trivia. And so I'm going to ask you trivia about musicals.
Okay.
One of my favorite things.
We'll see.
And so we're going to see, because I know you know some musicals.
Mhm.
And I like to think that our listeners are also fans of musicals.
I'm sure.
And so this could be fun for everyone. I do think that I picked, in my opinion, easy ones.
I'm sure it's great.
But they might still be a little, you gotta guess.
Sure.
Okay,
Let's hear them.
here we go.
I'm ready.
What is the name of Annie's dog in the musical Annie?
Oh, shoot. Yikes. Is it Sammy? Oh, it's close, but not right. I was in Annie.
No, Val!
I was in Annie.
You are so close with Sammy.
Sunny? Okay, I don't know.
Sandy.
Sandy.
So you got that wrong. Okay, this one might be a little tricky. So just educated guess. Feel free to talk it out if you need. What was Disney's first Broadway musical?
Ooh. So I know Peter Pan is a musical, but which direction did that go? Like, was Peter Pan a musical before the movie became a movie? I'm just going to go with a crazy, definitely wrong guess. Lion King.
That is not a definitely crazy guess. You are incorrect, but it is a very educated guess. Do you want a clue or do you want the answer?
I'll take a clue.
It is a princess movie.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast?
Yes!
Really?
Yes.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. It's their first stage musical. I'm going to give it to you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Where are the sharks from in West Side Story?
They're from Puerto Rico.
Yes!
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, I'm assuming you're not talking about
the people who are from New York in New York.
Racist white guys.
Yeah. No. Nope. So, where is the Phantom of the Opera set?
Oh God, I don't love this, so I don't know a whole lot.
Oh my
about
God, it has a chokehold on my middle school years.
Ugh.
Val's not a fan of Stockholm Syndrome.
No, well, except for Beauty and the Beast.
Only when it's pretty.
I don't know. France.
More specifically,
Paris.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. That was a complete guess.
You did great. I've been to the theater that it is based off of when I was in high school.
Wow.
It's very cool. As someone who loved that musical and it's very cool. I really hope you get this one. What long-running Broadway musical features songs like All That Jazz, Cell Block Tango, and Mr. Cellophane?
Chicago.
Yeah, this is shout out to our home.
Pop.
Squish. What 2004 smash hit teen comedy movie opened as a Broadway musical in spring 2018?
Princess Diaries?
No. Think very much a comedy and a little bit vulgar.
American Pie?
No. Val, you get this one wrong. It is Mean Girls.
Oh, duh.
All right. After seeing her on Broadway, Walt Disney wanted to cast Julie Andrews in his next live action film. What was the name of this 1964 film?
Would he cast her in as a result of seeing her
on Broadway?
So that would be Mary Poppins.
Correct.
Yeah. Because she was in My Fair Lady on Broadway, but then
I could have
didn't get cast.
danced all night. I just got that for $9
right.
on vinyl, and it's making my life a dream. Last question.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to ask you without an identifying clue in case you do know the answer. If you don't know the answer, I will ask you the way that I originally wrote it.
Okay.
This musical beat Wicked at the Tonys for Best New Musical in 2004.
Oh, God. I would never know the answer to that.
This musical that features puppets beat Wicked for Best New Musical in 2004.
I love Avenue Q.
Yes.
You know what's really funny about that is the two musicals that I saw when I studied abroad in London were Avenue Q and
Wow,
Wicked.
that's so
Those
funny.
Were the two musicals. And I love Avenue Q. Actually, like when we talked about like what our favorite musicals were a couple episodes ago, I definitely should have mentioned Avenue Q.
Well, Val, you You got a couple right and a couple wrong. I already exited out of the page, so I don't know what your score was, but you did great.
I have moderate musical knowledge.
Moderate musical knowledge. I could do pretty good at a musical trivia, but there would be a lot that I don't know because there's still a lot I haven't seen. A lot of the old classics I still haven't seen. Like I saw My Fair Lady for the first time last year. So
wow.
I loved it.
See, and that's where my knowledge base
the
is.
older
because
ones.
like my parents, because that's what my parents
Yeah.
watched. So like I've both seen them on stage and the movies of like every old musical you could possibly think of, basically.
Yeah. I have a hard time listening to musicals I haven't seen.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, Val, this was so much fun.
So
Anytime
much
I get to
fun.
talk about a musical, I'm so happy.
Yes. And it's really a relief to have been able to talk about a movie we really liked.
Truly. We really needed one. You know, Let It Shine was good.
It was.
What did we just watch? Girl vs. Monster, not so good.
Not so good. And like the ones right before Let It Shine were kind of rough too. I like Let It Shine. When we have a guest, I sort of like set those episodes aside because they're like a different animal completely.
Yeah.
But like it's nice just the two of us to get to talk about a movie that
I
we
do,
enjoy.
see our list coming up. I am excited about a couple that are coming up. And looking at our timeline, Val, we might hit the 2020s sooner than we think.
I know. And I'm also, because this was, for whatever reason it was, a turning point, right? Because like this was the only DCOM that came out in 2013, right? I feel like we are at a turning point.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful for the future of DCOMs.
Me too. All right, Val, what are we watching next?
We are watching Cloud 9, which I
know nothing
want to
about.
say is about like snowboarding or something, just based on the cover art, I think. But I'm excited. I know nothing. And that's great.
Yep. All right, Val. Well, thanks for a lovely time.
Thank you.
And everyone, like, subscribe, tell your mom. I love you, Val.
I love you.
Bye, Val.
Bye, Al. This podcast was produced by me.
And me.
And it was edited by me.
The music was composed by Michael McNally.
You can find us online at thetridentnetwork.com/dcommentaries-pod.
And you can find us on Instagram and TikTok at dcommentaries.
Dcommentaries is a part of the Trident Network. To learn more about our videos, live shows, and other podcasts, please visit thetridentnetwork.com.
Disney Channel original movies.
Damn it, Allie.